faces, bright minds, dreamers we stand with pride, where passion meets breakthrough, visions collide. Welcome to Glam Chemist.
On this episode of the Glam Chemist, we have Ava Perkins on. You guys know her as Ava Perky. I'm really excited for this conversation. It was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. Welcome back to the Glam Chemist. Thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest today. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ava Perkins. I'm a cosmetic chemist. I'm getting my PhD from the University of Cincinnati studying biomembrane sciences, and I'm pretty active on social media talking about the science behind everything in the cosmetic industry, from sunscreens to debunking a lot of misinformation out there. And I'm pretty involved within the Society of Cosmetic Chemists, which is like a professional organization within our industry. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Me too. I mean, you're involved in so many things that I can't wait for people to hear about. How did you decide to get into STEM?
Oh my gosh. My journey in STEM started back in like fourth grade. I was really lucky to attend like some pretty good schools growing up, and we started taking science labs like in fourth grade, which was really neat. Like, I don't even remember the types of science that we learned, but I remember we did a lot of like hands-on activities learning about like rocks, and we dissected frogs, and I just always found it really interesting about like that there's a how and a why behind things that happen in our world. I always just like found that to be super interesting, and that curiosity just kind of carried on with me through the rest of my life. So was fortunate that my interest in STEM started at a pretty early age. Just being able to have that experience so early on, like, just kept reconfirming to me that like this was the area that I wanted to continue to pursue. And so, yeah, I feel really fortunate that I was able to experience that from a pretty early age.
And how did you decide to go into cosmetic science?
This is a story. Okay. So we have to take it back to first year of undergrad. I was a freshman at University of Hawaii. I was studying chemistry, and I was mainly there for water polo. Like, I was recruited to play water polo there. It was super cool. They were like a top 5 Division I team, but like there was always something like nagging in the back of my head that I like still really wanted to pursue a career in chemistry, albeit I had no idea what that would be. And then COVID happened. Like, everything was canceled. Like, the path that I thought that I was going on absolutely did not happen for circumstances that literally nobody could control. And so I was forced to kind of just pack up all my stuff and leave Hawaii and go back home. And it was so weird. Like, one night my dad was like, why don't you just like pursue cosmetic science? Like, you really like makeup, you really like science. There has to be somebody that makes these things like on the shelves. And at first I was like kind of against
shout
that.
out to dad.
Shout out dad. I'm like, okay, not very like girl boss of me to take advice from my dad at that age. But I was like, you know what? Let me look into it. And so I just started Googling like how to become a cosmetic chemist, and then I found the University of Toledo's program, and at the time they were like the only undergraduate cosmetic science program in the United States. And at this point, like, it was still early enough in my undergraduate career where if I wanted to transfer I could. And that's where life took me. I ended up moving to like the middle of nowhere, Ohio, from Hawaii, to pursue a career in this. And everyone is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, trust me, this makes sense. This makes sense to me, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, you've really made the most of the entire situation. I mean, you're involved in so many aspects of cosmetic science. I would love to discuss a little bit about your involvement in the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. How did you get involved, and like, what have you been enjoying about that process?
Yeah, so I became a member of the SCC my junior year of undergrad, and it was mostly from the suggestion of one of my professors, because she was really involved. And she basically told us, she's like, I'll literally give you bonus points like if you join, but like you have to join. This is something that you guys are going to be a part of for the rest of your career. Start early, start networking now. It can help you get internships and jobs and everything. And so I'm like, okay, like, you've been around the block for a second, I'm gonna listen to you. So I ended up joining the SEC, and I don't even remember how I like got involved. I think I was just seeing a lot of the work that she was doing, and at the same time I was becoming pretty passionate about like giving back to the industry because I had seen how much it had changed my life up to that point. That I was just like, what if I join one of the national level committees? It was the Next Gen Society of Cosmetic Chemists, and that portion of the Society of Cosmetic Chemists focuses on like the next generation and helping give students and early careerists like the tools that they need to be able to succeed in the industry. And even though I was like literally in that position myself, I'm like, this is something I for some reason feel like super passionate about. Like, can I join this committee? And it was a little bit late into the year, and they accepted me just kind of off of a whim. And then I, at that point, had worked like really hard to volunteer for them. I was like running their social media pages for essentially that whole year. And then after that, I moved basically right up to vice chair. So I had only been a member of that committee for like maybe a year, or I guess a member of the SEC for like a year or so. And then they were bumping me up to leadership like pretty much quickly right after that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was an honor. At the same time, I'm like, are you sure? Like I literally just got
Like
here.
me?
Yeah,
Little
like
old me?
Yeah, little me. Yeah, my passion has not wavered since then. Like I've still been really passionate about giving back and educating and helping the people who are or were in my position of just like trying to figure out what you want to do in life. And so yeah, that's just kind of where I've been within the SEC.
And what advice would you give like a younger person getting started in the industry to get involved, and like where to start? Any advice?
Ooh, my advice always to network, like whether you think that the person you're talking to is going to like directly help you or not. Like it's always good to make those connections just because like you never know. We all kind of know each other in the industry, or at least like know of each
Yeah.
other. So just like talk with people early on, like be almost like annoying in like how present you are. You know, people are gonna people are gonna know you from somewhere. So yeah, that's the main piece of advice I got, and like volunteer if you can.
I guess that gets well received. With the more visibility you have in our industry, the better off you are. It is best to start as soon as possible and take your professor's advice if you can be a part of it. And then also get involved in the Future Chemist workshops, which you've hosted. Tell us a little bit about how that was, and talking to younger folks, and how it felt to, participate in something that really does help a lot of students.
Yeah, absolutely. Being involved within the Future Chemist Workshop was like an absolutely full circle moment. I'll give some context. So, the Future Chemist Workshop is essentially this like hands on formulation session that we usually hold at trade shows. So, that initiative, I want to say, started like I think this coming year will be 10 years. So it's been quite some time. And then I don't even know how this ended up happening, but I just kept reapplying and they just kept taking me in. So I did it for 3 years. And then the following year I
Awesome.
had assisted. And then this past year I had taught the course, which was a really cool full circle moment to be like a student in the lab, having not formulated anything before. And that was like my first really kind of main exposure to the industry, to now a few years later then giving that experience to somebody else was like really, really neat. And as you said, like it keeps growing every single year. Like in New York, we had over, like I just said, 350 students apply, numbers we had never seen before. And now other chapters are wanting to do Future Chemist workshops too. Like I just taught one in
That's
California,
awesome.
and now Florida's in my inbox, and now Southwest. And so it's just really cool, like just to see the eagerness from students too. Like I think there is so much passion like in one room when you're there. Like they're just eager and hungry just to get started and to learn, and it's really cool energy to feed off of, because we've all been there.
The cool thing I remember from when you would attend is that you would document the whole thing. So that
Hmm.
brings us into a lovely pivot of your content creation and your science communication. You were like hands on and giving us like a play by play of every session. And the fact that you went 3 years makes sense to me because I remember seeing you post all that content. When did you decide to start sharing your journey?
I decided to start to share my journey pretty much right after I graduated from Toledo. And that was just like a culmination of a few years of watching beauty content on social media and just seeing how it didn't necessarily align with what I was learning behind the scenes. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about clean beauty? Like that doesn't even have a definition. Like what? Like there was a disconnect where I'm like, where is that, and why don't people have the same access to information like I do? There should be more of that. And also I was really inspired by other creators who were doing that already, that I just felt really called to contribute to the science communication world. And leading up to making content, I had done a few internships, some in marketing and in social media marketing, that I'm like, okay, I think I have some of the basic skills. Obviously, I'm going to continue to learn along the way, but I think I have the skill set, like at least the basic skill set that I would need to actually take this seriously. And so that's kind of where my journey started.
That's amazing because that's how I found you, was through your social media platform. And then I
Really?
started to introduce myself and get to know you at the trade shows. But yeah, you were one of the few that were starting to really share in our industry what the process was. And you were sharing more from an education standpoint, which was really helpful.
Yeah, I always try to like put myself in like my shoes a few years ago, like when I was looking at all the different programs and like how I can become a cosmetic chemist, like there weren't very many options for me to look at, and like there wasn't like a clear direction for somebody to go to. And so I kind of had to do a deep dive to put the pieces together. But I'm like, why not make it easier for somebody else? If they have, I'm sure there's somebody that has all those same questions that I did. So
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm a good resource for that. So
No, yeah, there
yeah.
was a time in our industry where it was very limited in resources for cosmetic science, or even understanding what it was, let alone,
Mhm.
pursuing a career in it. But now it's great because it's been growing in such a wonderful way that like now we have multiple people online sharing the information, and like a nice little community. You guys are super like involved with each other too, and sharing content and like cross platforms, which is really, really interesting to see how the community is growing. Just like
Yeah.
this.
Absolutely. Just like this.
But the cool thing about some of your content is that you do debunk a lot of interesting beauty trends. How do you approach like what's worth your time in having a discussion about? What do you think is best consumers know?
That is a great question. And that is a question that I had asked myself like about a year or two ago, because I think initially I was just like finding whatever that I could find and that I had the knowledge to debunk. But I think as more misinformation is out there, the more energy obviously it takes to debunk it. And so I just needed to be careful about like where I dedicated my energy to. And then I kind of like created this like chart where it's like authority versus like impact, where if a doctor or a politician or like a major public figure is talking about misinformation versus like my friend from second grade, like the impact is going to be a lot different because the authority is different, you know what I mean? And so I
Yeah, that
feel a
makes
lot
sense.
more inclined to reply to like a doctor who's talking about sunscreen not being safe or whatever versus like maybe a mommy blogger on Facebook, just because the impact is a little bit different. So it's just being like very careful about like where I dedicate my energy to based off of who has the biggest say on social media.
When I was speaking to Jen from the Eco Wall, she said intent has nothing to do with it. Like, no matter how pure your intentions are to share this information, it still could be very dangerous to share misinformation so quickly and to the masses. How do you simplify some of these concepts? Like, what approach do you take to make it more palatable for consumers and kind of regular folks?
Yeah, I think I always try to, like I said before, put myself in my shoes from like a few years ago from when I didn't know any of this information. I also try to send it to like family members or friends that have like absolutely no expertise in this area. And I'm like, does this like, is what I'm saying actually making sense? Or am I just like in my own bubble right now? And so getting external feedback does help a lot. But sometimes there's just topics that are not easy to debunk in a quick way. You know what I mean? Like some videos just have to be over 3 minutes. Like if I simplify it anymore, like the message isn't going to get across in the way that I want it to or the way it accurately should. There's kind of like a push and pull, honestly. Like you want to be able to make content that is going to resonate with people and that they can understand. But at the same time, sometimes that means doing things that the algorithm doesn't push out. You know what I mean? And so it's just, you kind of have to pick your battles.
Yeah, that's really cool that you've taken on that task, though, that you've decided that you're going to be the person to, tackle some of this misinformation, given that there's so much of it in our industry. That's a whole other conversation for an entirely
really
different
is.
interview process. It's a whole different podcast of discussing what consumers believe is cosmetic science or safe in cosmetics versus what cosmetic scientists can validate and share. It's a
Yeah,
whole other conversation, but
it
I'm sure
really
that
is.
listeners can relate to this, can relate to what we're talking about. I'd like to go back a little bit and revisit your PhD. You're in the middle of, a lot of things. You're a cosmetic chemist by trade. You're doing your PhD program. You're educating young folks in industry workshops, and you're a science communicator. How are you balancing all of this in general? And then tell us a little bit about your PhD program.
Yeah. To answer your first question, therapy, honestly. And also I'm just like, I'm really, really passionate about what I do. And so it's kind of like become my life in maybe more unsustainable ways than I appreciate. But I am working on that. But yeah, my PhD program, I had joined back in 2023, basically right after undergrad, because I knew that if I wasn't going to go to graduate school right after undergrad, I wasn't going to go at all. And you can go straight from a bachelor's to a PhD. I think that's like a misconception that people have, and one that I did too.
I had no idea.
Learning about the process. Yeah, you can just go straight into a PhD, but obviously, like, you need to keep your grades up and probably have some research experience going into it. But yeah, right now about like halfway through, I just finished taking all of my coursework, and now I am transitioning more into my dissertation research, which is on skin resiliency in infants. So not in the realm of formulation at all, but that's kind of the game in a PhD, honestly. You're kind of just doing the research that you have the opportunity to do. I think there are very few times where you can be like really picky about like, oh, I want to do a project in this specific area, because it's so much more complicated than like, oh, I just really want to do research in this like area I'm passionate about. There's like funding and lab space and like, oh, there's a lot more, I guess, like politics that go into it. But at the moment, I am still enjoying my PhD. I think it's hard, but I think it's hard in ways that I wasn't expecting. Just having a little less structure, kind of doing things on my own and adjusting to a new environment. And it is not like undergrad whatsoever. Like, this is like adulthood plus school, if that makes sense. Like, there's no, going to the same classes and all that. It's very different.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty, because we don't really hear many people talk about the process of the PhD program. I know that you were really honest about funding yourself and, the economics of being a PhD student, and you've been very honest about the entire process. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think that would be really helpful for our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk from I guess my process of like even wanting to get a PhD. I would not recommend somebody get a PhD just for the title, honestly. Like, I think you should get a PhD if you have like a specific goal in mind of using it, because it is a huge commitment to like go through this whole process just to have those like 2 letters in the front of your name. Like, I think there are probably better things that you can do with your life in the 4 to 6 years that you're in the program. For me, I was really passionate about education and still am. And so my goal is to eventually likely stay in academia afterwards, or at least have that option. So that was like my main goal. But one of the reasons why I was so hesitant to start a PhD was because of the funding. I was under the impression that, it's kind of the same way as like going into law school or becoming a doctor, that you would have to go into like hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to pursue this degree. And like, my mentors at the time were like, girl, no, you don't. I'm like, what? And they're like, no, it's actually.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. You're telling me a lot of things, because I went straight into industry, so I didn't even. Yeah.
Didn't even consider. Yeah. Like, how would you know?
Yeah.
And no one talks about this anyways. Like, academia really is its own world. It's very funny. But they're like, no, you don't need to pay for that. They're going to waive your tuition, and they will actually pay you as well, like on top of that. And I was just like, oh, well, that kind of changes things, like, I don't need to be as worried about the financial aspect of it, albeit the like stipend that they give you a year is quite bad. Like it's not the most ideal situation, but it is better than going into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, right? So one of my main decisions was based off of the financial aspect. And also it's like I'm kind of at a point in my life right now where I still have a bit of freedom. Like I'm not really looking to settle down anytime soon. Like my family is healthy. Like it was a decision that had made sense for me. And so yeah, I had moved down to Cincinnati, and then one of the main things that plays a really important role within your PhD is your PI, or your principal investigator. This is like the person that you're going to be working with. This is like your advisor the whole entire time. So they lead you through decisions talking about your plan of study, what type of research you're going to do, and they kind of dictate like when you graduate, essentially. So like you need to make sure that you get along with your PI, the person that you're going to work with, and that takes some networking and discussion before you even consider applying for a PhD. So you guys like need to make sure that you are a fit. My situation was a little bit challenging because my current PI actually retired not too long ago. So I knew this going into my PhD. However, the plan for my research didn't end up working out the way that we had laid it out for me going into it. Like he was anticipating on getting a grant, and then halfway through he would retire and I would be transferred over to like another PI and I would finish that research with that person. But then the current administration stopped basically looking at grants at all. And that threw out the window. And so like things change a lot.
You have had 2 global events affect your education. Like the most really grand global events affect your education.
I'm really tired of living through unprecedented times.
Yes,
I'm really tired of it.
You handled it with grace because you make it look good. You're still optimistic. You're still helping others get involved, and you're still sharing information. But I get how that could be very stressful.
Yeah.
Where are you now in that process?
Yeah, things have gotten a lot better. I will say, like, having my social media platform and doing all the busy stuff outside of that has kept me really busy, like I think if I didn't have that and it was kind of just sitting around waiting for things to happen, like I would be going absolutely nuts. But yeah, it's taken quite a bit of time for me to land a project that's been, talking with people in the industry and having some prospective projects there and that kind of falling through. But I ended up finding somebody within the college who works at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, and she's been doing a lot of research in skin for a very, very long time. You might know who she is, Dr. Marty Vischer. She's pretty prominent like within UC's programs. She's like been in the industry for quite some time. Like basically a lot of what we know about baby skin is because of her. And so, her and I think get along very well, like personally too. And so like she made it clear from a pretty pretty early on that like she wanted to work with me. And so it ended up just working out. She had the funding for it. I like her very much as a person, and I also find her research to be quite interesting. So it's been a journey, but I finally have a project. Back. I know we're here. We're just gonna get through it. That's all that matters.
But you're optimistic about it. You're really doing a really good job of making it look good, and keeping you keep the strides going because you are so active in so many spaces that you wouldn't even know that there was a hiccup at any point because you're so involved in so many things. I could easily see you becoming one of the leaders and like higher education for this industry, like referring people to Ava Perkins and Dr. Perkins. I can imagine you understand how to talk to young folks. You have a really good rapport with them when it comes to like sharing information in a way that's digestible for younger folks, but also as enthusiastic as you are. Because I've seen you at the trade shows. You make sure everybody feels included. You remember everyone. You make sure that everyone is, as excited about being there as you are, which I think is so awesome because it can get lost in the industry and the corporate part of working. And, when you've been doing it for years, for myself, it's a little bit like, oh God, here we go again. Here's another trade show. Here's another SEC event that we have to attend. Versus like seeing you guys show up. It's just fun. It reminds me like this is so exciting to be a part of. And we're there's a lot more younger folks getting involved in the industry, which is exciting.
Yeah.
which we cannot, like, now we have our own communities, which is fun. Like, everyone kind of
Yeah.
remembers each other, and the undergraduates that you've seen at the workshops are now in industry with you and
Yeah.
growing in their own way, which is exciting too. Yeah, it's been really fun to see everyone kind of evolve and keep that going, but it's based on the community that you guys have created. So thank you for being a
Oh,
part of it and
thank you
sharing all
for
that
that
stuff.
compliment. That was very
No, you're
sweet.
so fun. No, you guys, you make it so fun, and you're every time I see you come up on my feed, it just reminds me, like, oh yeah, I forgot that I like this. You know, like, I forgot that this is fun, because it is a little bit of beauty and a little bit of creativity. I guess let's take it a little bit further back too. You spoke about loving makeup and being involved in beauty. What have you been able to kind of cross reference when it comes to how much you loved makeup and beauty, and then applying it into what you're doing now?
Ooh, that is a great question. I've always, just kind of like you said, I've always appreciated like the creative aspect of it. I think it's always interesting, like now being on the other side of the industry, like we make products for, a certain intention, but then maybe a makeup artist use it in a completely different way. And it's kind of crazy to see that change. Like it's people can do truly in hopefully a safe way whatever they want with products, um and the industry will always grow and change and innovate because of that. So yeah, although I will say like I'm not as much into makeup as I was maybe back like in high school, I still don't think that like love has changed at all, if that makes sense.
What is the best part of your job right now? What are you enjoying the most?
Ooh, that is a great question. I have recently really enjoyed giving talks and, talking with people and stuff afterwards, just being able to connect, like that sense of community. I do really enjoy and continue to enjoy, but it's like just now from a different lens. Now it's from the stage and not necessarily from the seat. And so it's been really fun to come up with, presentations and crack a joke or two and within
Yeah.
presentations and to make it, fun for other people too. Oh,
Okay, so this has been great. I have one more question for you. It's
okay.
kind of a heavier one, but I think it's always helpful.
Okay.
What advice would you give your younger self given what you know now about your career?
Ooh. That is a great question. Probably keep an open mind. Um, I think as we've like discussed in this conversation, like a lot of major life events have happened like throughout my career. And I think going into the industry, I was very set on like, I'm going to become a chemist at like a a conglomerate like an Estee Lauder or a L'Oreal, but that's just because I didn't know any better and I didn't really know about myself either. So just like keeping an open mind and giving myself the grace to explore that, like things are allowed to change and that's okay. It just makes us who we are today.
That's really good advice, because it's really hard to remember that it's all part of some sort of, it's going to all work out at
Yeah.
some point,
There is
especially
a
when
bigger
you're in it.
picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't know what it is.
It all comes
Yeah.
together somehow. Yeah.
We'll figure it out later.
No, literally, that's how it feels, especially as of late. I feel like everything that happens has been happening so rapidly. Everything has
Yes.
been evolving so quickly that if you are a young person starting your career, this is very sound advice. Just give yourself wiggle room to figure it out. It's never too late is a good one
Never too
too.
late. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like
I
you're
have to remember
experiencing that
that
right
one.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to remember that one. I do feel very, as young as I am, I feel very old, and I feel like I've been like kind of, I'm ready to like dust myself off and put myself to bed. Like, I'm done. I'm good. I've had
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Can we retire at this point?
Yeah, like I'm ready to retire from that one. We'll see what happens next, though. I'm loving connecting with you guys. I'm loving being part of
Yeah.
this conversation. It's been really fun to, be able to ask everyone questions of where they are and kind of learning from you guys, because everyone's doing something different.
Yeah.
Everyone's, like you said, there's so many opportunities in our industry that you can go in different avenues. So I've been learning a lot from you guys, and hopefully our listeners can learn as well. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for joining me and sharing out everything and being so honest. I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's not like a common occurrence where I get to just yap, honestly. So I really appreciate having the platform to do that.
Oh, thank you. No, I like that this is more conversational. I think that we have to remember that there's people behind this industry and there's like actual things
Yes.
that people are navigating that are a little bit more nuanced than just, getting the job and going to work every day.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
really do appreciate these conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Where can we find you?
Oh my gosh, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok mainly at ava.perky. I also have a website, avaperky.com. You can send me a message through there. But other than that, yeah, shoot me a DM if you have any questions. I am mostly on top of it.
Yeah, and check out her chats. Try to attend some of her events.
Yes.
Wherever you're featured, wherever you're found, because you're always doing something.
Always doing something.
I'm proud to announce that you can find the Glam Chemist Podcast on any platform that shares podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Lemonade. Be sure to follow our content so that you know who our new guests might be every week. Also use that platform to ask any questions or suggest anyone that you would like to participate in the podcast. This entire platform is for you. We will work together to build this community, and my goal is to share all the information you might need. So feel free to ask. I'll do my best to speak to those folks so that we can all share in the conversation. New episodes will be released every Wednesday. You'll hear some familiar voices and find some new ones. The Glam Chemist Podcast is a Hija de Lolitas production. The episode's jingle was created by Producer AI. Recording and editing is done by your host, Genesis Velasquez.